Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Junkyard Digs, and welcome to North Iowa. Up at the folks' place right now, little place we like to call Purgatory. Actually, right now, you know what? This is hell. We are in hell. It is negative 10 degrees and a billion-mile-an-hour wind, and there's somewhere realistic wind chill around negative 35, probably. Let's go get a Jeep. Perfect weather for it. You can see a lot of old projects sitting up here. They'll be picked up in time, especially now that we finally have some land. The old F-250 that survived the tornado. The whole shed's gone. The possum shed is gone, but the truck was untouched. Other previous videos, projects that never happened. 3 feet of snow, la-di-da-di-da. But what we're here for today is that back there. So here's our plan. So we don't have to move 6 cars to get it out. Bada bing, bada boom, go through the middle. So this is probably an appropriate time to introduce, obviously, my brother Jesse into the situation. Not obviously, actually, because you can't see who he is at all.
These are my eyes, and that's all you get.
Jesse, this is your Jeep.
This was my very first vehicle, and here it sits. Because it never got driven, it never made it out of, it never left this property. So here you can see we have the Grand Cherokee Laredo.
The Laredo.
The Laredo. We had
a black leather interior.
Well, actually, it was a real leather interior under the seat mats, but
like 250,000 miles.
It has a lot. Oh God, my nose is out.
Basically, we have a 96 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo, 4-liter with an NP, I think it's a 242.
It also has heated seats.
And most importantly, it's not yours anymore. You sold it to Angus.
It's his problem.
Angus is still driving a 2-wheel drive Tundra, and he is in Minnesota, and he's like, hey, this is not working out. I need something 4-wheel drive. And I said, hey, I know just the thing. So Angus called up Jesse and said, hey, you want to sell your Jeep? And he said, yeah, $600, come get it. So here we are coming to get it for him.
Yeah,
on
Angus, where the hell are you?
The coldest.
6:50 now.
The coldest damn day of the year. This thing has no brakes, if I remember right. Last time we tried to move it, the fuel pump didn't work. So there's no running. There's no driving. We're gonna try to get it out of this spot in Jeep fashion, get it on a trailer down to Ames, and fix it up for Angus to start dailying.
I am sorry, little tree. You're gonna get your ass ran over.
Let's go get a tractor and some straps and get this thing the hell out of here and the hell into a heated shop.
First time I ever get to drive my Jeep.
We didn't make it perfectly unscathed. We got a crack in the bumper, but I mean, it's negative a billion. That little guy? Don't worry about that little guy.
It's not mine, I don't care.
Just Jeep things. You guys will understand. Now we're gonna get this on the trailer and get it down the shop. See you guys in a couple hours.
Yep. Looks exactly the same. They Ladies and gentlemen, Angus is with us now.
Be my apple fritter.
Likewise, the Jeep is at the shop.
Whoa, that must be what you've been talking about this whole time.
It's exactly as you described it. Red, a Jeep. I called it a red Jeep. Don't want to make anyone confused. We've got about $900 worth of parts from O'Reilly's. That fuel pump was not cheap. We totaled the car already. We totaled it twice. We went down to O'Reilly's, said, hey, you guys got these parts? And they said, yeah, we literally have everything right here behind the desk. We grabbed everything we should need for the weekend and then some, and then came back. So this is a 250,000-mile Jeep. You need it to be
Forgetting about that.
You need it to be flawlessly reliable.
Yep, it's a long drive home.
So we're gonna do everything above and beyond to make this thing good to go. As far as I remember, it has new rear brakes, new rear shocks, because when we bought it, Jesse bought it, what, like 8 years ago?
A long time ago. When we bought it, someone put a donut hole on side, not the ones you're eating.
They put an apple fritter on one side.
Yeah, they put an apple fritter on one side and then just drove the car for like 500 some miles
It burned out the rear end somehow.
entirely. Just
Oh, I get it. You weren't talking about food. You were talking like a donut spout. Was not following.
Anyway, here's a Jeep. We had to put another axle on it at one point, so we redid the brakes and everything on the rear. It sat for probably 6 years since then and hasn't ran in all that time. So I'm thinking step one should probably be put a fuel pump in it and see if we even continue with the other pieces.
I said we go straight for put the wheels on. That'll make me
No,
feel
Angus, the
better.
wheels are still returnable right now.
Oh, you own this, right? Like, there's a title. I can't help but notice that there's silence in the room. It looks like leather. That's kind of neat. I can't help but notice that the rear view is in the cup holder. The headliner could use some pins, but I'm gonna try it on for size. Wish me luck, everybody. Hold on, apple fritter. We're going for a ride. Oh, yep. It's a 90s Jeep.
Yeah, there's nothing special. It has heated seats. That's all it's got.
Hi, welcome to regular car reviews. This is our regular car. Trying not to touch my fritter on anything. Come here, you.
That sounds so dirty.
Ooh.
It looks like the Pep Boys threw up in here.
Well, it's everything it's cracked up to be.
So the reason this never drove was because we couldn't get brake fluid to the back axle. Step one, we need to get a battery into this thing and see what systems are even working in the first place. If we do or don't have a fuel pump, if this thing runs, la-di-da-di-da. And then once we have a running, driving car, we can start breaking it down to, all right, what's making the most noise? And start fixing those problems until basically nothing's leaking or making noise. And then we've reached reliability. Let's make it happen.
Oh, we're rolling. All right, let's see if anything crazy happens.
A fire!
A fire! Oh wait, the key's on.
I got interior lights.
Yay! Gonna need those when I'm calling MapQuest.
Oh, and wipers apparently.
Yay!
Do we hear a fuel pump?
I hear something.
Alright, here we go.
I found the Schrader valve. Gibbet.
this is a high pressure system and nothing came out, not even air.
Nope. So that's a good start. I don't think there's a strap there.
There we
Yep,
go.
there's not.
That's super secure.
That'll do.
I can't imagine something I would like more holding my air intake on than nothing.
Well, this is doing specifically nothing. Hang on, someone left me an empty can of brake fluid. Did no one throw anything away around here? Alright, go ahead, sir. Yep. Yay! Once more. For the ladies. Yep. One more. We got a healthy motor, just like I remember. Ignition systems, everything seemed to work. Seemed to actually run pretty decent right there. So let's get this thing up in the air, take the fuel tank out, and get ourselves a new fuel pump. Is there stuff all over my face? Oh! My eye itched really bad.
What the hell did you even touch?
It's that hose.
Oh, okay.
Hey, where's the rear
I
view
thought
mirror?
it was the interior.
Actually, have a
We'll be back.
This thing's way cleaner than I thought.
Yeah, the only real rust on this whole thing were the rockers.
The rockers, yeah, they're gone.
Another nice thing that this Jeep had is it has all the
Skid plates?
Well, let's drop this tank. What do you say? Well, step one to taking this tank out is to experience our first immediate episode of Jeep things. The hitch is bolted to the bottom of the skid plate, which is all bolted up to the frame, which is underneath the tank. So we gotta take the hitch, the skid plate, everything off just to start unbolting the tank. You wanna hear a really Jeep thing story?
I'm ready.
There's a recall on Jeeps that the rear ends were weak, like the framing and everything and bracing. The solution in the recall was to install a trailer hitch on every one of them to help strengthen them. At least that's what I've heard. I could be wrong. But it sounds about right for a Chrysler product, so I don't think it's wrong.
It's a good thing we were doing this in the winter, because all these lug nuts are full of mud dauber nests. Not that it's really important, but I'm sure the lug studs are just rusty under these.
For the record, you weren't there yesterday. I would have much rather have done this in the summer and dealt with wasps.
Really?
It was a wind chill somewhere around mid-negative 30s.
You're a true hero. I'm gonna work on getting our front brakes apart. If nothing else, just to turn these rotors. We've got new pads. Do we have new calipers?
Yep.
Wow, new calipers. The whole 7 yards or so. And then we'll focus on doing some U-joints, just because we know that's an issue on these, all before knowing that it runs
Yes.
on its own.
When you need heat, but you're next to gas, and you need some serious heat, induction heater. It's like $100-something on Amazon. I want to say low hundreds. They're pretty good. This is supposedly the mini induction heater, but I think they compared that to an induction oven. This bitch huge. Big. These were all spinning on me. They were spinning the studs. So I heated one of the nuts up nice and hot, expanded enough, and it actually came off while the stud was still spinning. So hopefully we're able to kind of do a reverse process and get these all back on.
The whole hitch is coming down.
Oh, is it really? No freaking way, dude.
Look what I caught. Hitches can't get enough of me.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's not good. Ow!
No, I think they just go in a hole.
Well, that's stupid.
It's just Jeep thing.
Just Jeep things. So far, so good. Ow, my brain cells.
Okay.
They've been redistributed.
Okay, center that strap.
Right. Sure.
Alright, you can come on out. As long as it's centered.
I got my hair stuck in it. Sure, it's centered-ish.
Okay, let's go ahead and use all three people and get this tank on the ground. We'll be back. Alright, while Angus is fighting the hose clamps off, I'm fighting the front brakes off. We got new calipers, so I'll just let that guy hang. But we did not get new rotors, because these look good still. I mean, clearly not, but they look like I can resurface them. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's go talk about it. So instead of paying the $35 to have these replaced, you can pay a little less and have them turned. Or if you're fortunate enough to buy a secondhand or even new brake lathe, you know that you can have these turned and really save yourself some money. It's not always an option, it depends on the minimum thickness of this. It should be stamped somewhere on this face. If you're getting too close to that, you can't turn them. You gotta throw them away for safety's sake. And if they are just
beat the hell and in too bad a shape they can't be turned. But these ones, nice and smooth, a lot of pitting in them from the brake pads sitting on them, a lot of grossness in the middle here. We can turn them and get rid of all that. First thing I'm going to do is clean up this inner surface so we sit nice and flush against our lathe. Now the reason this is so important is that we need this surface to be free of any debris so it sits perfectly flat against the collar in the machine and does not cause any run out or wobble in our brakes. And unless these are already warped, we'll take it over to the machine. I'll be able to show you what exactly it should look like. But if they're warped, I'll show you what a brake rotor that is warped looks like on a lathe. This is our beautiful Benpack Ranger combination RL8500 brake lathe. And I say combination because we can easily do drums, rotors, or flywheels in some instances. So all depends on what we have for hardware to put on this end. This thing is very, very versatile and very, very robust. I mean, come look at the size of this center shaft. The arbors in this are huge. There is no run out on this machine. Unlike the dinky ones they usually have at some parts stores or you'll see in some old guy's shop that are just kind of like this big, those do tend to have harmonics run through them and they can do some funky stuff to the rotors while they're cutting. This sumbitch is so big it doesn't even happen. If you're interested in this, you can check this out on Benpack's website. This is a pricey machine, but for the money you pay, you get the top of the line machine. I am very honored to have this in our shop, and which is probably where it belongs, in shops where you're doing a lot of this in high volumes. You'll definitely pay this sucker off in that case. So what we're gonna do is bring this in, set it right there. So we've got our first and second cup in place. This one's for spacing. I'll now put our reverse thread lock collar on. Tighten all that down. They make everything really quick on this machine. It's awesome. I love it. He's going to want to be right about there. All right, after tightening a couple nuts here and there, we've got everything set up. We're ready to start making some passes. I'm going to turn this on. And we're going to do what's called a scratch cut, which is basically I'm going to come right to the center. I'm going to just touch my tooling against the part and see what's what. So let's run this guy in. And we're going to find our zero by doing this and see if we have a warped rotor. As you can hear, it's not hitting consistently, which either means I don't have everything cleaned off quite right, or in this case, we have ourselves a warped rotor. We only have a mark on this half of the rotor. So sure enough, this thing's out of round. Run this through the machine and we'll have ourselves a perfectly straight, good to go brake disc for $0 input on the parts. Let's make it happen. All right, there we go. What it should look like, what it should not look like. You can literally see the warp in this one, high spot, low spot. I'm gonna put that back on the lathe and try it again. Goddamn. These were brand new rotors that we put on the back years ago and never ran. They've only sat. As you can see, if I can land it right, they were warped, and they were warped pretty bad. That wasn't even cut on this side, so I'm gonna have to run another pass all the way up to probably 6 thousandths on these brand new rotors. So sometimes the brand new ones are no better, so this will always get them true and get them straight. I'm gonna finish all this up while these guys finish up whatever they're working on, and we'll be back. Gravel road life. It's a 30-year-old rock.
This is a boulder. This thing's hefty.
I know what's wrong with it. Ain't got no gas in it.
It's so loud. Got all the dirt vacuumed off, so we're gonna pop this ring loose. My instincts tell me it just turns off like a normal nut or a bolt, but being a Jeep, I'm kind of concerned that it's reverse, or you gotta push down and then pull sideways. And I really don't want to break this because it's 23-year-old plastic. Alright. Ooh,
spider.
Well, we're gonna leave him alone, and I'm gonna get a bigger screwdriver and an actual hammer.
Not gonna ask any questions. Rocks exploding out from it. Those aren't good times.
Mind your fingies.
What? Well,
I guess it's our cylinder of doom. Oh, the floaty still works.
Yep, the bottom looks bad. I was like, it doesn't look terrible, which is concerning. I really hope this was the problem. We didn't jump the gun. But then I saw that and I went, oh, it's junk.
Look at that. We've gotten garbage.
All right, get the shot back in there, suck all that up.
No. All right. So while Kevin's working on our rotors, I decided I'd do a little weight reduction, just see how bad the rust is, and it's about this bad. It's just the whole thing. It's just the rocker panels, like the frame of this unibody is flawless on the outside. It looks perfect. Thanks, Iowa.
This car actually did have undercoating. It's just really weird where they put it.
They put it on the bottom. It'd be weird if they put it on the top, but they didn't. What do you mean it's weird where they put it?
Price just went up.
Oh no, I forgot. I haven't paid for it yet at this point in the video, so I've got to be nice to Jesse.
I've got a chainsaw!
Oh, fuck. Wow.
Yeah, that's my beauty right there. Call her Felicia.
John's gonna be filming in the background for his channel today, and he asked if he could use the shotgun. I said, sure. And he said, I found an old chainsaw. And I'm like, okay. I didn't think you'd bring how long is this, 7 feet?
It's long. I'm tall. I can lay down next to it. It's a 2-stroke. And you ready? You ready? Good compression. Like, good compression. I paid $75 for this.
Yeah, if you guys want to see this thing run and someone maybe lose all of their limbs or get chopped in half in one quick movement, Golden Rust and Bust will have I'll put a tag. What the hell? What brand is it?
It's a maul.
Yeah, it'll maul y'all.
So you put oil in on this side, and then you got this lever, and you pump that lever, and it oils your bar.
How old is this?
It's from 1946. Johnny B, police officer from the Midwest who rides boxes.
And has the world's biggest chainsaw.
And watch out!
It's the long saw of the law. Anyway, we've started on our front end stuff even before we've got the pumps and everything in. We're gonna wait till after lunch so we don't stink at the Mexican restaurant. Angus and Jesse have been working on getting all our bolts out of our hubs here. So we get these off, get our axle shafts out, and then change these U-joints. They are not bad right now, but chances are we get these out and take a look at them and start popping the caps off, and each of them have at least one dry cap somewhere, which means it will immediately fail.
Fix that. Yay.
It's been sitting for a long time. Mook has a Jeep identical to this that's not been on the channel. We did a revival on hers, and immediately the front U-joints failed, and it took a full shop and all the tools we have here to get it done. So once again, if we're gonna be shipping Angus off up to the northern Minnesotas to where he lives and works,
What a loser.
we don't want to be sending him with something that I know is probably gonna fail when we can just spend 2 hours and fix it.
Fuel pump instruction manual. So anyway, we got our new fuel pump in.
Stick that in the hole.
Yep, looks, yep, sure, yep, and
Sorry.
So what actually happened is somebody left fuel in the tank.
Our fuel pump is in, good to go. Let's put our tank back in. This is a little trick I learned when you can't get these damn pipes off. When you can't get your damn fill lines off, just cut them. Then go down to the store and get either barb fittings or a piece of hose, like PVC, preferably metal. I use metal. And we just
put it in here, put a couple more hose clamps on, and everything works out for everyone. So that is the easiest, fastest way. If they get really old, like 60s, 70s, 80s stuff, they like to crack, and you usually have to end up replacing them anyway. But we're able to pull it off this 90s stuff just fine. So let's get this all bolted in place and see if this thing runs. Our new fuel pump is in, the fuel tank is installed. We're gonna throw this gallon of gas I have here in and see if it primes up and see if it starts. Keep going. There we go, fuel. All right, give her 2 more and hit it. Back. How's your oil pressure?
Oil pressure is hovering just below 40, and oh no, we don't have any gas.
Well, there's only a 3/4 gallon in it, so runs great though.
Sure does.
250,000 miles.
Sure are. 25 to 207.
That's a 250,000 mile motor. Actually, it's not. I think it's supposedly an 80,000 mile motor, but who's to say? That's a motor ticking away. Oh, this one's got the buttons on the back of the steering wheel.
What? This is where you can go fast?
Dang, this is the fanciest thing you've ever owned.
I haven't owned a car with electric windows since high school.
Well, shut her down before we smoke out John.
Oh, fine. She runs good.
Once again, the 4 liters are immortal. Who knew?
So far.
Well, let's get some more gas in this and let's pull the front off and do some U-joints.
Sounds like a plan.
If we get that done yet tonight, we'll be good to go.
Do we have any super glue? Well, shaft's a little rusty. Ooh, the splines are a lot of rusty. Yeah, it does mean there's a lot of rust in there.
In the axle tube?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can slippery schlup the shop vac tube down there.
Please never ever say that again.
Slippity slur.
Oh, John, no.
Alright, there's another one. These don't feel necessarily bad, but we got new ones, and I would hate to be the one doing this in winter, which would be you, so let's not let that happen. Just replace them.
Yeah, it's just dragging on the bottom of the tube. So,
This side's clean.
yeah, relatively.
Hey, oil. Yeah,
Heck
internals
yes.
look good. Alright, so this is probably not how you're supposed to do U-joints, but hey, it's how I do them. So here we go, kids. The reason we're doing this on the back of the forklift is so that we have a nice, big, huge anvil, because I don't have an anvil. Safety first. Alright, let's go get ourselves a screwdriver, get our clip out. There we go. I'm just going to drive this guy off. Alright. Once this is off the inside, you get 2 kind of U-joints. You get the insides, like these, usually on axles. And then you get an outside clip, which sits out here and looks a little different, usually on drive shafts. So I'm going to repeat that process for this side, and then these 2 as well, and we'll be back. So, after you get those clips off, all you gotta do is set your socket here, hit it a whole bunch with the hammer, and drive your U-joint out one side. Pop your cap off, which was literally full of 0 grease and just dust and would have died within 30 miles, and flip her over and drive it back through the other way. Cap is set. Let us send it home.
Oh, wait. There we go.
Well, that was an absolute prime example. That one had grease in it. It would have survived for at least a little bit, but yeah, good looking inner U-joint. Yeah, okay looking. There's a bit of rust in it. Absolutely would have died immediately. So that's why we're changing these now, because had we not been, we would have been Tuesday. Now we're gonna repeat the process for this side and then get this sucker out. All right, once you got all 4 caps off, You can work that guy out of there. Throw him away. Clean these up a little bit. Make sure there's no none of these edges are curled in and gonna be in your way and big and sad. And then you get your new U-joint and work them back in. So just fix this way.
Not
I'm
very
a
good.
Statue of Liberty. Alright, new U-joint. I thought I ordered greasable. I did not. On some, probably not one of these, seeing how small this is. You can get a greaser right here and just grease those all the time. So, like that empty cap we had on that old one, which I threw away, there's no grease in it. Well, you can put some grease in it, and even if it's empty, it'll still live for a good long time. So, greasable U-joints are the way to go. With that being said, you're not getting greasable U-joints. Yay! So, let's get this sucker in there. You're gonna wanna take these caps off and be very careful with all these pins.
Actually, I'm gonna take these away from you.
Well, I need to set them in an order.
Oh no.
Because some of them will leave the grease in the stud. So far they are. So far they are. Come on, give me an example. Okay, well, those ones all left it. But sometimes, especially if they've been sitting for a long time, the grease will come out and stay on the cap. You need to make sure you get that one back in the one where there's no grease in the stud. Today, that didn't happen, so it doesn't really matter where they go. So, to get this guy in, I'm gonna wanna leave that guy vertical as much as possible, so none of those pins fall. I'm gonna take this and very carefully spin it into place. Make sure I can seat it all the way. See that seals right up against there? And then, I'm gonna realize that we have the wrong U-joints. Yay! Shit. So once you get your caps in here, what you want to do is make sure you don't get any dirt on these. But you're gonna set your cap in like I had showed. Bring your U-joint down into it, and then keeping pressure against that cap, keep that seal nice and tight, so that it doesn't, drop any pins. We're gonna drive him home. Once he's past home, take our clip, get him in place. Done. Nice and good looking. Grab the other side once again. Keep your pins down. And this one's a little harder to roll into place. Just gently tap them in. And then drop your U-joint down into them. Make sure everything feels good. So what you don't want to have happen is one of those pins around the edge to fall over, and then you drive the cup on, and you drive that pin laying over into the top of the cup and damage the pin, and then it's flattened. And it's junk. So
Big set.
Yeah, big set. So be very careful. If you're not moving when you're doing this, there might be a problem, and you should stop and look into it. With that being said, we're looking good. So I'm gonna drive it all the way down until this ring is seated. I've got a gap up here that I can fit this clip in, hammer them home, and we'll be done with this. Then we repeat the process, working it in to the axle side. Okay, so one thing you want to do at the end, when you're all said and done, we already did this one, we haven't done this one, turns kind of hard. Take your hammer, shock the actual yokes. And that will free up, by a little bit of shock treatment, that will free up all your caps and settle them to where they're supposed to be. And then everything moves nice. So that's good to go back on the Jeep. We didn't ruin the tone ring, didn't ruin our little plastic thing, and we got a brand new U-joint full of grease. Let's get her installed. Yeah. All right, once again, driver's side, 3 good, 1 bad. Would have died absolutely immediately.
Yeah.
So there's the bearings. Good thing we're here.
All right, just stabbing on the new wheel hubs, riggy diggy. Kevin told me to say that. We got brand new wheel hubs which contain our wheel bearings as well as the hubs. We figured while we're in here we might as well just replace them with some new units. So I'm taking off our new wheel hub because I forgot one part.
You did exactly what I did on Mook's Jeep. I was like, job well done. What's this? Oh shit.
So anyway, we'll pop this back off, put that on, and then pop this back on, and then it'll be good. Maybe.
We'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning, Angus.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, I just finished a piece of pizza, I've got my instrument of destruction. I'm ready to start working.
I showed up a little earlier this morning and I've got our first set of brakes finished. What did I learn? Well, I'll tell you. On these Jeep brakes, they like to just take all the brakes and throw them in a box. The important thing to note here when you're pulling these out of the box is that one side has 2 prongs and one side has 1. Now, these brakes are not symmetrical. This side will have 2 prongs on this side and 1 over here, and that side will have it the other way around. So make sure you're matching sets of brakes. And this is why it was so damn hard for me to get these off. It's because they had 2 prongs on one side and 2 prongs on the other side.
It's hard.
So match them so that when you go to put your caliper in, you lock the 2 prongs and then just slide the caliper right into place.
Yep, that was annoying.
Other than that, we've got our brake lines hooked up. Everything's looking good here. We're gonna open this bleeder when it comes time and bleed these brakes and the front end's done, with the exception of shocks.
We should probably do that before we put the wheels back on.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
Yeah, we should probably do them right now.
Yeah, that's probably also a good call. So
I tell you what, we'll take this to your house, run it through the woods, roll it over, then we can really get at the shocks.
versus right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be much better. All right, give her a spinny. Okay. You can pull it out now, sir.
I probably shouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that shock was no bueno. Goodbye. Get ourselves some new shocks on this thing. What do you say?
I say.
He says. Oh, he says heck. Heck. Heck.
Heck, I say.
Heck, he say. We've got bright ass yellow new shocks that are 6 years old on the rear. Oh, here, you're gonna need one of them.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna have dark ass blue shocks on the front.
Go, little buddy. You can do it. Do you see it?
Yep.
You see it now?
It's being birthed. Oh my god, it's the creation of life. Oh wow, hello.
That was me. Like a sea turtle being born. Hatches. Run! Well, here we are. Greasing again. So something you might run into on older vehicles, if you grease a joint and your grease starts coming back out, that little check ball is stuck. That means it's time to just replace this, the whole Zerk. And you can pick them up pretty cheap at pretty much everywhere. All right. Up. Down.
A lot going on here, huh?
Yeah, not really. Like, strangely, not a lot. Down.
Down.
Hold it.
I don't have a lot of fluid movement because I can still roll this just fine.
Yeah.
I wonder if we got bad rubber lines. The other side seemed to drip easier.
Okay, we're going to the other side, Jesse. Hold on to your britches.
So yeah, as you can see, we are bleeding brakes. We're gonna get these fronts all sorted out and then figure out what's going on with the rears. So years ago when we had tried doing this, we swapped a new axle into this Jeep because the old one was bad, and we can never get fluid to the rears. I have suspicions of a few parts. If we can't get fluid to start moving correctly, we'll start at the master, bleed this, and then just keep bleeding each fitting as we go down until we know that we can track the fluid all the way to the rear axle. My suspicion in parts is the rubber lines being swollen shut. So, you never know. To summarize the next couple hours of diagnosis, we essentially disconnected the master cylinder at the back of the proportion valve and ran some bleed lines back into itself. Doing this, we were able to see that it was moving fluid just fine, which was interesting, seeing that when it was all hooked up, even with the front end bled, we could press on the pedal, but the brakes would still spin freely. Meanwhile, at the back of the vehicle, we still had no fluid whatsoever. We thought about this for a while and decided the likely culprit was the seals in the master cylinder itself. When there's no resistance, such as the instance of bleeding the master cylinder into itself, it's able to move fluid. But as soon as the system produces resistance and pressure is needed, all the fluid slips past the seals and back into the reservoir, thus indicating that we have a bad master cylinder. We called up O'Reilly's and they had one in stock, so we installed it and set to work on bleeding it on the Jeep. With this fix, we were able to finally bleed the brakes on the Jeep, which is a first in the 8 years we've owned it. Oh, there we go. Fluid all the way into the bottle. That's what we want to see. We had a bad master cylinder for sure. Alright, I'm going to finish bleeding this one, go do that one, then we'll go to our backs and see if we finally have fluid. Down?
Down.
There we go, we got fluid to the back. Hell yes, bunch of air too. Up.
Up.
Down.
Down.
This is what we want. Up. Down. Alright, we need to go check our fluid in the reservoir, but hell yes. So all these years, Jesse's Jeep never hit the road because of a bad master cylinder. Now I know. If you're getting fluid that's moving, but it's barely moving, and you don't suspect it to be the rubber brake lines, which once again is very likely an option, but when it's all four corners not doing it, it's probably your master cylinder seals are just really weak.
Another thing to add to that is usually when a rubber hose swells, it'll let fluid through, but it won't let it back, and that causes a sticking caliper or something like that. So there's another sign. If it can't push it through, then your master cylinder was weak anyway.
Yeah, very good point, sir. Let's finish this sucker up and put some tires on it. Hell yeah, dude.
Wee-haw.
Wee-haw. All right, going on this sucker, we got some general grabbers with the white out. I think these will look pretty good. I've got these on Mook's Jeep and the Eagle, and I freaking love them. These things do great going forward in the snow and slush and ice, and I found they do even better at stopping. Like, I try to slide the Eagle around all the time, and this one's got a little stiffer sidewall, and it snaps the back on me. As in, like, it's too damn good. I can't have very much fun in that car. Long story short, good tires.
Give, please.
Time for an oil change.
Got it.
One of the last steps here today.
I probably could have held on to that.
It definitely needed it, huh?
Yeah.
Anyone else got a pee?
Yes.
Ugh, Fran. Out with the old, in with the new. O'Reilly's Wicks. The best on the market right here. It's the same as the Napa Gold, but that means I have to go to Napa and that place sucks, so heck. Get this on here, fire this sucker up after we get some oil in it, and see how our pressure's looking. The good stuff. Oil in general. It's all the same, who cares? As long as if you use zinc when you need zinc, if you ask me, oil is oil. All right, there's 6 quarts. You want to throw a belt on it at the same time too, and then fire it up?
Sure. Here, I'll do it real quick. Fire it up.
I saw it coming as soon as I said it.
All right, we got our old belt out. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to slap this new belt in. Not really a whole lot to see, just copy the way it was when you took it out. Easy, right?
We're really planning on going the distance with this episode, so we got all the way down to the small details, including replacing the wipers and filling the wiper fluid. After that, we decided to clean out the interior a little bit before finally firing this thing up.
That's a skeleton of a mouse.
Who is this? Jesse? Huh. One of the last steps to cleaning is the glove box, because I might want to put my gloves in there. And maybe that mouse. Maybe he can go away. Go ahead and hit it. Bye, little guy. He's not going. It's not working. Oh, God. Oh. You're fine. And on and... Oh! Bye, little guy. That was violent. Is this a sticker? Ah, yes. www.beefisbeef.com.
There we go. New fluids. Got some slip in the trans. We got new oil in the engine. We got new shocks, new brakes, new master cylinder. Just a bunch of new stuff here. And with that, this should be ready to fire up and drive out to the house. Let's see if it'll do it. Clear.
At this point, we were ecstatic. For almost the first time in history, we had done a revival in a 2-day weekend with nothing going wrong. This was unheard of for us. For once, a video had finally gone smoothly. That is, until it started.
That might be not.
It's not rod knock.
But what notch is it?
I think it's honestly an exhaust leak. It's exhaust
It
leak.
sounds like flex plate, actually.
All right, Jesse, hit the key. Let's see if we can identify this noise.
Contact.
It might be fixed. Well, quiet.
It's not. It's not. I hear it.
It's not a man. God damn it.
Oh boy. Well, we got a few options here. We'll talk about it in just a second.
So our options are pretty simple. I can boil it down to 3 myself. 1, and this is my favorite, we don't do anything. 2, drop the oil pan, figure out which rod bearing it is, and potentially roll in a new one. Or 3, and this is the most expensive and my least favorite, we can get another 4-liter for this. This is our most regular car. This is traffic. Our crew blends in with traffic.
Yeah, the one car we do that's just like nothing special at all is, you know what it was?
What?
I said it like 3 times. It's like, man, this thing has been perfect. And for the first time, probably ever in the show's history, in 2 days, we knocked out a shitload of work without a single large hiccup. We had to drill 1 bolt on a caliper.
And that was broken before we got here.
Yeah. And other than that, it went so smooth. And we did an oil change. And after that oil change, I'm probably on the dry startup. Some bitch started knocking.
What are you trying to sell Angus, Jesse? What the hell?
Price is back down to $600.
So all the insults went away with a bad rod bearing. Good to know. Well, we could either go play, see if it makes it,
And then have to do a motor.
and then have to do a motor.
Whereas right now, if we pull it out, we probably haven't wallered out the
It
crank.
might not be spun.
So what happens when you have a rod knock? And I learned this the hard way with the Le Mans. You think, oh, I just throw in a new bearing, it'll be good to go. Sometimes, and I mean sometimes, if you catch it early enough, that is the case. But what happens is that crank bearing is wobbling back and forth on the crank, and it eats up the crank and makes the crank out of round. The chances are you have rod knock on an engine, you need a new crankshaft. Or a crankshaft welded up and machined down. I don't know if this is one of those instances.
We don't know yet. It's Schrodinger's bearing again.
Well, here's a thought.
Uh-oh.
Let's go get a beer and some food, and then we can come back, pull the pan off, see what we're dealing with. Thankfully, these are really accessible.
That's true.
After a beer and a slice of pizza, we came back to the shop, pulled off the oil pan, and hoped to find a rod that was obviously loose where we could roll a new bearing in and fix our bottom end noise. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Everything inside the pan looked totally normal. There was no serious signs of metal shavings or excessive wear, and we were truly stumped at what this noise was.
Gene's here from Midwest Cylinder Head here in town, the machine shop. Really good machine shop, by the way. Angus and I are clueless. So we called in the big dogs like, hey, what do you think before we load the parts cannon? And Gene said these motors are known to have a lifter knock and valve train issues, which, listening to the footage, we're still trying to decide, is that a full tempo or a half tempo? Half tempo would be valve train because it spins half the speed of our crankshaft. Angus was right, option 1, ignore it.
Well, I hate to cause more problems or more damage than what.
Well, if it
There
blows
is
up,
damage.
we know what it was.
Depending on how long you want to drive it.
Yeah, it had a big case of blowed up. That's all it was.
I'd say its original bearings in it yet. The bearings are stamped 96.
Oh. Well, supposedly, yeah.
96.
Supposedly an 80,000 mile motor.
Yeah. So it'd been built before,
Pulled the motor out of an older Jeep.
or that may have been one left over from.
Sitting in the
whenever
pile,
you-
yeah.
Definitely had some debris go through it.
The oil we dropped was nasty.
Was it?
I was like, surely fresh oil will make this thing sing a better song. Knox.
Dude.
Guess we should have just left it alone.
This song is heavy on the percussion.
At this point, it was getting late on a Sunday evening, so we decided to call it a weekend and everyone packed up and headed home. The next morning, Mook and I set to work on doing a bearing roll. We figured this was not the actual issue, but heck it, we're right here. We would be dumb not to put new bearings in.
Good morning, Mook.
Burn!
Are you here to help me finish up the Jeep today?
Yeah, I need to turn some wrenches. I'm sick of moving.
I cannot blame you. So this morning I've gone down to O'Reilly's, and gotten ourselves some plastic gauge. Woohoo! Say what you want about it, it's gonna work perfect for what we're doing today. What you do is you take some of this tiny little green filament inside, which you just might be able to see. It comes out at the end. And you put it in the bearing and put your bearing to torque. And then however thick it smashes it, according to these numbers, that's your bearing clearance. So, we're gonna cut some, put it in here, go torque this cap down, and see what our clearances are. And then, if I need to, I can order new bearings, which, looking at these, it's not the worst idea I've ever had to just put some in anyway. Oh, there we go. That is the plastic gauge. I'm just gonna set that guy right in there, and then carefully go torque this cap down. Once that's done, we'll get a reading. Alright, once those are torqued, we simply take it right back off and measure our plastic gauge. So, not the most ideal situation the way this one worked out. It's split in half instead of just leaving all the plastic, but I can still see the mark. And it looks to be about 3 thousandths. So, bearings are pretty far open, which means we should probably roll some new ones in there. Alrighty, called down to O'Reilly's, asked for some standard bearings. They got that shit in lickety split. Literally like 2 hours later. Here we go. I'm going to replace the one that we have out and then re-plastic gauge and make sure that all my clearances are going to be happy. Then we're good to throw all new bearings in the bottom end of this. Now, I've been thinking about this for a while. Pretty sure, like, 98% sure this isn't the problem that we're hearing. I think what we're hearing is lifters. Because these engines are known to make a lot of lifter noise. And it would make sense that we just did an oil change and suddenly a lifter collapsed, or maybe even 2 of them. And you go on clickety, clickety, tickety, tack. Regardless, we're here. I would be dumb to not do what little work it takes to put new bearings in the bottom of this engine. So we're just gonna do it. Another thing, I'm sure a lot of people in the comments are gonna be like, you should have got some emery cloth and polish that crank. Listen, here's the deal. The crank is still in the car. That's going to make a ton, and I mean a ton of debris if I do that. The surface does not really catch my nail. It's not I'm worried about. It's a high mile Jeep. It's going to be better off to not polish it and introduce all that debris into the motor. So yeah, let's get new bearings in this and get it all back together. This is the bottom bearing on number 6. This is the top bearing on number 6. Look at the difference between the bottom and top here. The reason this top bearing is so much more worn, and it's all the way down into the copper, is because if you think about it, as your piston's going around your crankshaft, the time it's under the most force is when the piston is being forced down from an explosion. Well, it's going to press down. We use this as an example. Press down on the crank on the bottom of the connecting rod, aka the top bearing, which is now gone. So yeah, this one's far more worn than our bottoms. All this scoring is signs of debris, but the copper is signs of mileage and wear. This is what new bearings look like, just for comparison. Okay, so as you can maybe see, I've got number 6 new bearing in there. Best way to do this, push the piston up, stick your, I'll show you on 5, stick your bearing to your crank and rotate him around. When you rotate it to the top, then you can do a little finagling and get that bearing inside that connecting rod. And you're going to want to pull them down, make sure you're snug. At this point, go ahead and clean off your crank. And then get yourself some assembly lube. Go ahead and lube all that up, because you don't want to fire this engine dry. So. Alright, that is the last rod cap. We've got all new rod bearings in this motor now. Nothing really weird came out of the bottom. I mean, they all had wear, but that's what you would expect with a high mile motor. So let's drop this thing down, pull the valve cover off, and see if we have any collapsed lifters while we still have the bottom of the motor apart and accessible. Okay, so I'm gonna take this valve cover off, like I said, see if we have any collapsed lifters. This is a perfect time for me to finally break these things out and use them, because there's a whole bunch of random ass hardware on the top of this. This is called the Bolster. It's been on the market for a couple of years now. I just discovered them. I saw them on TikTok and I was like, hey, that's really freaking cool. And they're like, hey, you guys are really freaking cool. Have some. And I'm like, I would be delighted. What this is a rubber mat that you can use to shove all your bolts in.
and throw it wherever you want. It's chemical resistant, it's heat resistant up to 500 degrees, and it is very good at holding hardware and keeping your stuff organized. And these ones are called the bitsters. These are more so for like HVAC and construction and guys that are on the move. You got a little magnet tray, holds bits and even tinier little bits of hardware. So these just clip on your belt. They are good for you guys that are on the move, on the work site, holding on to your stuff all day long. The cool thing about these is what you can do. I should mention I am in absolutely no way paid to say any of this. I am just genuinely giving my opinion on this product, and this is why I think it's awesome. We've got this big, long ass valve cover here, right? A bunch of random hardware, like that one's a nut, this one's a stud, that one's a bolt, la-di-da-di-da. What I'm gonna do is draw the pattern of the valve cover in the bolster. This guy was right about here. This guy was right here. This guy was up front. I bet you didn't even get to this freaking, damn it. Give me the ball. This guy was right there. You go here. You go here. One nut. Two nuts. So on and so forth. And I can literally draw out the valve cover on this. These things are absolutely awesome. I highly recommend this for shops. Keeps all your stuff organized and keeps all your parts and tools accountable. Once again, this has been the Bolster. Let's get this valve cover off. What do you say, Mook?
Yep.
With our valve cover off, nothing appeared to be out of the ordinary, which was especially hard to tell since these are such drastic hydraulic lifters that without oil pressure, all of the rockers actually sit perfectly level on this motor. So hoping for the best, we bolted our oil pan back up and set to work on getting this thing running again. All right, Mook, ready to fire this sucker up?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. How's the oil pressure? 40? With a rod, but it sure sounded like one, and it's not doing it anymore. I think we did it, Mook. Kill it. There's some clattery, like worn out engine noise, but from what I've read and heard, that's just a 4-liter thing, is they make a lot of noise.
Just Jeep things.
Just Jeep things. They've not the best valve training, these. But for now, I'm calling that fixed. It sounded like we needed to tighten our belt a little bit. I heard it squeaking, so I'm gonna find that tensioner and do that quick. But yeah, I think we done did it. Let's take this thing out and let's wash it up and then take it out and romp around. What do you say?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's race my Jeep too.
Let's get this thing to the car wash. Hold together, you old bastard. Oh yeah. It's even better than it was with thick oil. We're doing it. Ooh, that's cold. I'm putting that back up. Hey Bookers, how's it going?
Hi.
Things are so roly-poly. Like, good lord. We've got some definite whir out of the front end. Do you hear that? I don't know if that's the axle. It's not the wheel bearings, so we just replaced those. I don't know what that is. God, these things are so soft. It drives nice, though.
Did you check the diff fluid?
It's not pretty. It's running really good. No engine noise. All right, let me get this thing open and we'll get inside and get this washed up.
looking color, really. I like this red on these. Yeah, so basically just a whole bunch more of that in 10 minutes. We'll be back when it's done.
That's a big red apple.
Yeah. Let's say we go wheeling.
Hang on, this son of a bitch has got a CD in it. Oh, dude, Leonard Skinner? Hell yeah, brother. Oh, man. It's going to be a good old drive home. Got good temperature, good pressure. Everything is looking good. Got to check engine light, but it's probably that exhaust leak. Let's get this sucker home and go off-roading.
Howdy, Mook.
Hi.
Where are we?
I don't know.
We're in our backyard.
What?
We've got the Jeep all the way out here. Ran great. Drove out just fine. No issues whatsoever. We're going to go wheeling through the woods right here. This will eventually, in time, be an off-road course, especially down on that end. But for right now, it's just a bunch of snow. So, what do you say we hop in and see how she does in the snow?
Okay.
Let's do it. All right, Mookers. You ready?
No.
Oh,
Not really.
heck. All right, let's see how we do in two-wheel. Best way to make sure your four-wheel drive works is to get stuck in two-wheel drive. This looks like a good spot to start.
That was my favorite tree.
It's gone now. Like to go in 2 or 4, it kind of hangs out wherever you left it last.
Heck.
There's four-wheel. Just pretty damn good in the snow, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what do you say we go back up front where it's warm?
Yeah.
Concept has been proven. I'll see you around.
Well, there goes my ride.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That is the complete revival of the '98 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Working on it throughout the first weekend, it went really smooth. Everything went great, and then sure enough, it threw that screwball right at the end and started making engine noise. Still a couple small things that need attention here and there, like just little bits and pieces. It's running and driving just fine as it is, but like the cruise control doesn't work, and the rear wiper needs replaced. The transmission kickdown cable's still broken. The front end might need entirely replaced. That makes a lot of noise. Don't know what's going on there. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. A little different from regular, but it was a fun one. It was kind of a relaxing weekend of just turning wrenches on something that wasn't a totally rusty pile of crap for once. So diversity, you know, it's good. It's good stuff. Make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. We'll see you right here next week. Peace.